Hello, this is the Uzreport World, airing another interview. Doubly landlocked countries, including Uzbekistan, are rather disadvantaged because lack of territorial access to the sea, isolation from the world markets, high transition costs continue to impose serious constraints on their overall socio-economic development. Thus, Central Asian states are trying to reach new markets via the shortest, most effective and safest routes. Today, we are going to discuss the use of Iran's sole oceanic port, Chabahar, which connects Central Asia with South Asia. And our distinguished guest, Dr. Sanjeev CHATURVEDI, advisor at India-Uzbekistan Entrepreneurship Development Center, will be sharing his ideas on the topic. Hello, Dr. CHATURVEDI. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you, Marifat, and thank you, Uzreport, for inviting me today for this session. I think this is a very appropriate time for this particular area to be discussed. Only in 2020 December, the three governments, Uzbekistan government, Iran government and our Indian government jointly held a meeting, and a lot of issues were discussed on how we can maximize the usage of Chabahar port. It is always, if you see in our past decades, Central Asia has been great potential for export and import and investment, but because of the logistic cost, it is not becoming a very competitive destiny or destination in a way for Indian to invest here. We have been using other ports, but we had certain issues there, and when the Iranian government and Uzbek government made this suggestion along with the Indian government to how to maximize the usage of these ports, especially Chabahar, it was really a great boost to the Indian community and also Uzbek community as such. In my opinion, once this port will become operational, there will be tremendous opportunity not only for Indians and Uzbek communities, trading communities, but also for the Iranians also and Afghanistan also. So I think it will be 4 countries which will be having benefit of this port. And any country will like to have a port which is without any security issues, without any administrative issues, without any logistic issues of land, because it should come through land also to a great extent while entering Uzbekistan. So I think this will be a tremendous boost for the trade and export and import for both the countries.
Let's start off with a more general question. We know that Chabahar was built in 1983 and became a transit port in 2016, but has become a free trade zone just recently. Can you talk about the changes this decision has brought?
Yeah, free trade zone is a very welcome step by the Iranian government also, because we have some free trade zones in India, and they have given one of the very successful results as far as the investment is concerned, as far as the export import is concerned, because there is it's like a zone where there is no duties, no tariffs, where the documentation is very, very simple, and at a single window clearances are given. It also have a focal point for a particular maybe product manufacturing, where the trained people are already there in that vicinity. So free trade zone is a very welcome step from the Iranian government, and we are very confident that not only Iranian government will be benefited, but there will be a lot of investment from other countries which will be coming to this particular free trade zone.
As you know, on December the 14th last year, Iran, India and Uzbekistan held a trilateral meeting on the joint use of the Chabahar port. To what extent do you think Uzbekistan can benefit from the use of the port?
See, Uzbekistan has now become a very focal point of Central Asia, and due to this logistic issues and the logistic cost, that was the biggest hindrance for many investors coming from Southeast Asia. So with this port in functional in totality in coming years will give a great boost to the Uzbekistan economy. Already the Uzbek economy is opening up for foreign investments. They have moved to 69th position of ease of doing business, which is a very landmark, I would say, achievement for a country which is very small in number in population and which has recently opened their economy. I remember in 1991 when India became one of the open economies and we became member of WTO, World Trade Organization, in 1995. Uzbek government was also becoming a part of WTO, and lot of issues has been discussed between Uzbekistan and WTO, which is a common international law of fraternity, I would say. And I think very shortly Uzbekistan will become a member of WTO, and once that happens also, then Uzbekistan will become the best destination of the entire Central Asia. It can be the focal point of all the countries which are adjoining, apart from some European countries where the exports can be done from Uzbekistan to European countries also.
Let me give you a much more detailed question. Do you think the entrepreneurship of Uzbekistan will be improving when the country starts using the port?
Yeah, certainly, because what happens when the investments come in any country, they first want to see how will be the environment, the ecosystem of the entire country. In India also we face the same problem which Uzbekistan is facing now. But fortunately we have 3-4 ports at that time which were very functional. And when we opened the economy, we also opened some of the ports which are in the private sector. So the first hindrance is the ecosystem, the infrastructure and the services which the person is looking, or the investor is looking into a country. Secondly, which is also Uzbekistan, I would say, plus point, is that now they are opening the economy, and it is also ranking very high in the world ease of doing business. So these 2 points will also attract lot of investments in Uzbekistan, especially in the sector of agribusiness, food processing, minerals processing, maybe pharmaceutical industry is also very well established over the years in Uzbekistan. And overall environment and the people are very friendly here, very hardworking people in Uzbekistan. Now they are opening to learn, apart from Uzbek and Russian, the English, which is also very much an attraction for any investor. India had that advantage earlier, but now if Uzbekistan younger generation is going towards English learning, I think that will be a big attraction for the investor to work here and get a good English speaking workforce.
Which products do you think will become more affordable in Uzbekistan?
See, anything which you start producing in your own country becomes more affordable. Because right now I have been seeing in the last few months in Uzbekistan that many products, including the food products, are being imported from various countries. So whenever there is an imported product, it is always costly. And the area which I just mentioned, like food processing, milk production, dairy products, agriculture products, pharmacy, mines and minerals, these are some of the core area where the investment will come, and which will add on what we call value addition in exports. And cotton, the textile, which is world famous of Uzbekistan. So when you create a value addition, I think first of all you are not dependent on the raw material itself, but you also create industry as a byproduct of these value addition. So these are some sectors which can help the Indian economy to be attracted towards the Uzbek economy, and also these items will become much more cheaper when you start producing within Uzbekistan.
Now let's concentrate more on the ports. We know that Chabahar's most rival port is Gwadar of Pakistan. Can you assess the comparison of the use of the two?
Yes, it is very important for any industry, any investor or export or import community to have a safe, smooth, speedy logistic transportation. If we compare the two ports, the difference is not much because it is only 72 kilometers distance from the previous port. So Chabahar port will be a better location for Indian traders and Indian investors because every Indian investor will like to have a safe and without any issues, and also keeping in mind the issues which were there in the previous ports, and we will not like to repeat them. And Iran, we had a very cordial relations for the over the decades. Similarly with Afghanistan also, they were very close partners in some of the projects which India did in Afghanistan. So both the countries which will be a part of this transit and the port will be much more conducive, much more comfortable for doing business, at least for Indian community, Indian trading community, Indian investors. Lastly, I would also like to see that the challenge which any country is facing when they start the economy opening is to ensure the confidence of the investors. With this port, there will be a constant confidence that the logistics of this transportation of the community, of the products, of the services, there will be no problem over the next 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. So the confidence building measure by this port will be far, far more better than the port in Pakistan. And one more thing I would like to add, that no community in the world will like to do business in a turbulent area for a long duration. They will export and import for short period, but long term relations can only be built in business when there is stability, where there is transparency of law, where there is no administrative issues, no law and order issues. And I think the Chabahar port gives all that option to Indian community.
Now let's consider India's interests in using the port. We know that the country is trying so hard to make the best use of it, even by investing a huge amount of money. But some people consider Chabahar as lesser than Gwadar in potentials because its projects are fragile, as India and Afghanistan retain some infrastructural deficiencies and they have internal security threats. What are your views on this matter?
Yes, there are some issues regarding the initial starting of the port, but I think that is there with every port. Whenever you start a new port, there are some, I would say, infrastructural issues. There is some capacity issues also, and there can be some land, because it is coming through land of two countries, that can be some administrative issues also, and that has to be addressed. And I think all the three government, when they put their hands together, these issues can be solved at a very speedy way. Lot of interest are there for all the three countries involved in this. Another important thing is that in long run, this port can become the focal point of the entire Central Asia, including Iran, Afghanistan and all the countries in Central Asia. So it has got tremendous potential. The only thing we have to start with is that whatever issues are coming in the operations of this port in particular, it has to be done with the total confidence and strength of all the three governments, because this will be one of the focal point and central point of trade from Southeast Asia to Central Asia in coming years.
As we can see on the map, we can see that there are shortest possible ways from India to Afghanistan, which would greatly reduce the logistics cost of shipping goods, right? But now India has to bypass Pakistan. What do you think has been the actual reason for Pakistan to resist the use of its land for India?
See, we always as a country like to have good relation with our neighboring countries. But still there are some issues which has to be resolved between India and Pakistan at the governmental level. So when the governments are not comfortable with each other, there are also issues related to trade, which it impacts the trade also. So that's why we are more comfortable with Iran and Afghanistan, where we have more cordial relation between the governments and the people of the country. And I think bypassing Pakistan for us will not be a big problem. I think it will be a loss to the Pakistan also, because they cannot connect with Southeast Asia also. And but I think that will be a gain for Iran, Afghanistan, in which is also a turbulent economy at the moment, and lot of confidence building measure is being done by government of Afghanistan also, and of course Central Asia. I think India will not have much impact of shifting their port or any country neglecting us, because we have a better and very appropriate way of transiting our goods to Central Asia.
Do you think India will gain more benefits in using the Chabahar port rather than directly passing through Pakistan?
See, as I said, that whenever we are going for long-term investments, then the companies and the government in particular will like to have a safe passage of the goods and of the investment. And I think we will be more comfortable when we are shifting to Chabahar port vis-a-vis to any other port earlier. And I think there will be some challenges in the starting, but those challenges can be always tackled, and because all the three governments are interested, Uzbek government and Iranian government and also Indian government, to see the success of this port. And of course, the route from which this logistic map will be made, it will bring prosperity to the entire countries also which are part of this map, including Iran and also Afghanistan, and of course Central Asia in Uzbekistan as such in particular. So I think all the 3-4 countries including India will be benefited from shifting from the previous port to Chabahar port.
As a closing part, can you give some suggestions on the effective use of the port and improving the overall economy and entrepreneurship of Uzbekistan?
Yeah, it's a very important question and very interesting for us. The India-Uzbekistan Entrepreneurship Development Center, which is now set up in Tashkent with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, this is the first center which has set up in Central Asia, and Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, where I am coming on behalf of that institute. We got 5 such projects. Uzbekistan is the 5th center which we are doing. 4 we have done in Southeast Asia, and Ministry of External Affairs, which is the sponsoring and agency for us under the Government of India, has also given 5 such centers in Africa also. So this entrepreneurship is the backbone of any economy. If you see any good economy in the world, developed economy like Germany, Italy, France, Japan, or America, small and medium enterprise is the backbone. If I remember correctly the figures, 86% of Uzbek economy contribution comes from small and medium enterprise, and 16% comes from the big industries. So entrepreneurship is basically for the SMEs, small and medium enterprises. So I think when you are strengthening entrepreneurship, you are automatically strengthening the SMEs. And especially with the young population of Uzbekistan, which is having a lot of ideas, lot of new ways of doing business, little support from the government, little support from entrepreneurship development centers like us, some funding by the banks and the financial institutions, I think there will be a tremendous boost to entrepreneurship in coming years, which we have seen in India for the last 10 years or so. Many young entrepreneurs who started with small money now are multimillionaires. So I think that history can be repeated in Uzbekistan also.
Dr. Chaturvedi, thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here in your studio today on this very important discussion. This is a very important project not only for Uzbekistan and India but also for two more countries, Iran and Afghanistan. And I think the success you will see shortly. And I am very confident that Uzbekistan will be benefited in long run by this entire logistic way, I would say, connecting from India to Uzbekistan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.